Hey you, YouTube. It's Lester Crow and his Strolling Bones here. Gonna deliver a brief video. Yes, this time it will actually be brief, I promise. This is a question to you guys, trying to get a little bit of more discourse going on. I'm at a point where I kind of have a problem, and I need your guys' help. I need your clever wits to help me with this problem. I've talked in other videos about my lack of luck finding really good, solid role players to play with here in my community, my small Canadian community. And one of the fellows I've talked about is relatively disrespectful. Now, I don't think he does this consciously. I do not believe that this guy, we'll call him Sly for privacy purposes. Sly, I don't feel is intentionally trying to be an asshole. That's not the case. I just feel that he is not aware of how to roleplay very good, and I don't think he realizes that the way he is acting is detrimental to everybody at the table, especially me as the game master. Now, he displays a good character normally as a person, a little bit too much into Yu-Gi-Oh, which seems to be the only thing he talks about, but he, in essence, is a very good kid. He also is this guy I've been telling you about who has drama experience. In high school, he was in the drama program, and he could be, I see the potential behind him to be an excellent role player. And unfortunately for him, the other people I've allowed to play, well, several of the other people I've allowed to play have kind of ruined the role-playing experience for him, I think. So I don't think he takes it as seriously as I'd like him to take it while we play, which would lend for all of us getting the most out of our experience. Anyway, what I want to ask you guys is, how do you involve a player who you feel would get a lot out of role playing, but yet they seem slightly disinterested when they play? I mean, this may be the coral that he imbibes that creates the lackadaisical approach that he goes about with the game. He also seems to exhibit follower qualities where, well, the rest of the group wants to do it, so I'll do it too, instead of, coming up with creative ideas in and of his own accord, and to actually think. He doesn't actually take time to think into his character and do what he believes his character, or what the character type and the character would actually do, which can be frustrating. However, I feel that he would get a lot out of role-playing and that he would really enjoy it, and I don't want to just boot him and say, hey, kid, I don't ever want you to come here when we role-play again. Because that just breaks it up. And the more players I have in my stable locally, the more games I can actually run, so the more effectively I can, the more bang for my buck, I guess, I can get out of my role-playing games that I've invested in. And I want to know what you guys can do. His general demeanor is one of disinterest, quite disinterested when he plays. Mostly after the coral kicks in, he gets a little tired, yawning his face up, not doing anything overly distracting, just being disrespectful in the sense that when it's not his turn, he's going to talk about shit to the person beside him that has nothing to do with the story instead of paying attention to the story. Now, I have a problem with that, even if you are not immediately a part of what's going on in the story. If your character, let's say, waited outside of the gatehouse as the rogue snuck in, and the rogue is the only one who's interacting with the game environment at the current juncture, I still really despise it when players don't engage themselves, when they aren't listening to the story, so they can't make, so they're not, how do you put this? They're not involving themselves enough that they remain in a mindset of the world. They start talking about other bullshit, and it pulls them out of the world, which pulls everybody else out of the world. And then when it comes their turn, they're like, oh, what just happened? And he's kind of one of those players. So I want to know, what can I do apart from talking to him, which I haven't actually done yet. I haven't sat him down and really bored into him and been like, look, man, you've been pissing me off lately. I don't like the way you're role playing. However, I know you're good at role playing, or that you would be good if you'd listen to me and actually engage yourself in the story and the fun that is to be had while sitting at the gaming table. I haven't actually sat him down and had that discussion with him. I'm a little nervous to do that because I'm the type of guy who will just let it fly. I'll just say exactly how I feel, and that could detrimentally affect our relationship, which I don't necessarily want to do. He is one of my very few friends in this town. even though he rubs me the wrong way. It's on several occasions, or has rubbed me the wrong way on several occasions. So I'm just curious, guys, how do you handle that? A player who you feel would get a lot out of role playing and who has in the past expressed interest in it. How do you get him involved when at the table he seems to be disinterested? I've already suggested that he doesn't smoke as much Coral when he's at the table, because he can't handle it as good as the rest of the people. I mean, I don't smoke very much, maybe a little bit here or there when I'm playing. Usually not, though, because I got to keep my head about me, and I've got to keep events in order, and I've got to be organized. So I tend to have a couple drinks, but beyond that, nothing in the way of altered states of consciousness while I'm game mastering. And I've told him I think that he doesn't handle the Coral very well, so he should not use it. In fact, we can use it after the fact, after we play, to prevent game burnout where people are just bored by the time the second hour rolls around. Even though you're developing a great system, they're just so stoned and not paying any attention to what's going on that they're not involved in the world, therefore they're bored. So my question is, how would you engage that player? What are some subtle ways I could go about it? I have a really bad habit I have these unfortunate, or I'm unfortunate to have a strong intuitive capability, inborn. I've been intuitive my whole life, and it's really dangerous as a game master because I just feel when people aren't having a good time. I feel when they're distracted. I can feel that, and then that hits me, and then the game goes downhill because I get nervous and I try to do things to make the experience better, and usually it's ineffective because I'm too worried about the fact that people are disinterested. And in my opinion, mind you, I'm a little biased, it's the player's fault, not mine. The work I do it's geared to involve the players and to make them feel good and to give them decisions and to immerse them as best as possible in the system. So as far as I can tell, it's the player's fault when it comes to them being bored with my stories. And I say this because I've had much feedback from other people who've played in games of mine stating that they like the way I game master, that I lend to a lot of immersion, and I include them more than other game masters who may be in it more for themselves than for the players. So that's the question. How would you handle this? How would you nicely bring forward your concerns to a player who you think would get a lot out of the hobby, but is unwilling to engage themselves in the playing, mainly due to poor experiences with other players in the recent past? As that's my perspective. I'm really interested, guys. Keep gaming. Peace.